I've had a total knee replacement and a hip replacement in my right leg.
And I have one artificial knee.
I had a hip operation last year.
I do have arthritis.
I have osteoarthritis.
I also have osteoarthritis in my toes.
When you get to a certain age, you can't go out to clubs at night time and dance because you're too old.
Sometimes you're put into an age block and people are not seeing you as the person you are.
Where can you go and dance? You know, unless you're in your kitchen at home.
It makes me very sad because I want people to see me still capable of doing things, and that is the most important thing of this group, I think.
In 2010, 3 organisations in Edinburgh, Glasgow and Livingston were funded for 2 years to run dance classes for the over 60s. This film follows the classes to see how they developed and how people benefited from taking part.
I think if you go back one generation, people of my age were considered to be more or less written off. But I'm 70 and a lot of things have opened up for me. I'm still working, I'm still teaching. I think I still have a lot to give.
I'm sure previous generations, somebody at my age, they'd be sitting at the fireside and sucking pan drops, as the saying goes.
There's something quite young inside me still, and I need to give expression to it.
But it's great to come to a class and join in and feel okay about dancing at my age.
They don't want to go to a dance class where people are younger. I think it's important that you have a dance class focused on our age group, where people don't feel threatened.
DanceBase, the National Centre for Dance in Edinburgh, set up a weekly class called Golden, led by its artistic director, Morag Days.
I just wanted to, with this group, reposition the idea of ageing as something positive, as opposed to something which is about losing power. I saw ageing very much as something quite powerful. So I really liked the idea of pulling together a group that would embody that.
I'm rather a well-brought-up, inhibited sort of girl, and to do burlesque and have a feather boa and to flaunt everything I have to flaunt was really, to begin with, quite inhibiting.
I knew this was going to be a burlesque class, and other classes are sort of hidden at the back, and I thought, no, you're little, you're small, you don't always hear, so you have to go to the front.
We all did some basic steps all together. Morag, bless her heart, stepped forward and did a real da-da when she really was very uninhibited about the whole thing. And I think we all thought, well, hell, if she can, we can.
Well, it was just such a hoot. I think everybody really, really enjoyed the class today. I think it helps you get rid of your inhibitions. I mean, we were just doing outrageous things that probably you do in front of the mirror when you're at home on your own.
By the end, when we got right round this horseshoe of people, even the very well-behaved, quiet people had stepped out with their feather boas, and you've never seen so many feathers on the floor in your life. But it was so liberating.
I think it started about a year ago, didn't it? Honestly, you get to the stage you can't remember what life was like without Golden.
At first, they thought we're going to do a dance class. She's going to tell us what to do, and then we'll do it, and it'll be like being at school. But actually what's happened is I've gone in and yes, of course, I've had a shape of a class. I've been teaching for years, but I was also a bit shambolic. So sometimes I would either pretend to, or I would actually forget the routines that we'd done the week before. They would start reminding me. So we all started looking after each other.
I'm finding the class really stimulating.
You're always learning. You have to keep learning.
I think it's an opening, and it's something just completely different, a new level of intellect, really, and it means you're growing.
I talk about this class a lot. I find that I'm telling people about it, I'm telling my nephews and nieces. I think I feel quite excited about it in comparison to anything I've ever done.
1, 2, 3, that. We've all got quite close in some ways, I think. It's been quite special.
And it's been a whole new chapter in my life. When I thought things were kind of closing down a bit, they've actually opened up a lot.
It's gone way, way beyond my comprehension. It's become so many other things.
Just plus, really. We just have the best time. I love seeing people blossom, and we have just seen people who are very quiet, rather well behaved, suddenly say, you know, I've had this idea, and we all go for it, and it's completely non-judgmental. If it works, brilliant, we run with it.
Well, I've noticed that I'm much more active than I was, yes. I mean, I do a lot of walking anyway, but I dance in the house now.
I'm keeping going, which I think if I wasn't on these classes, I think I would have stiffened up and I wouldn't be nearly as mobile as I am now.
All the pains and aches that I have just disappear.
I'm buzzing for the rest of the day, and it goes round in my head what we were doing.
I don't get quite so many aches and pains as I did in the first week.
I just feel alive.
West Lothian Council's Community Arts team created Generation Dance at Howden Park Centre in Livingston, led by Dance Development Officer Emma Jones.
And what I was hoping for when I set up the programme was to improve people's confidence in being creative and expressive, to improve their physicality, so improve their strength and their flexibility, but also to improve social relationships within the group and outside of the group as well.
There's a tendency when you're disabled, you tend to use the bits more that you can work with, and you tend to avoid using the bits that are a bit damaged, you know. And because of we saw for yourself today, the amount of work that we do and the whole body is used, yeah, I find that I'm having to use bits that normally I would say, oh no, I'm not going to do that.
I realised that when we got the funding from Creative Scotland that we really did need 2 dance workers delivering the session. So one person could stay seated, one person could stay standing, so those people had a clear person to follow.
One of the teachers sits all the time and the other stands. So if anyone wants to sit, there's a teacher doing exercises from the chair. Because you know there's a chair there, you don't use it too often.
To the top of the arm. The warm-up before was on a very kind of steady basis, I would say, and now we've given it a lot more energy and a lot more stamina is required for the warm-up, and they're responding very positively to that. And reach, throw, in. We're also delivering longer sequences for them to remember and to learn, and again that's from their feedback, and again that seems to be very positive, and they seem to be remembering movements tied together better.
They're working is harder. I have to swim regularly to keep up with them, you know.
This time it's been harder. We're not sure who, but somebody apparently asked if we could up the level slightly, which is what Emma has done, but we're all coping with it.
I can see that their physicality has improved, so basic things, whether it's with their balance or holding a movement or a position for longer, or perhaps going a little bit lower when they're going into a stretch, so I can clearly see that that has improved over time.
The challenge, the real challenge is getting, finishing on time. And when I used to do my ballroom dancing, I wasn't a very good timer. It was my husband that was the one that kept the timing. And that's my biggest challenge.
One particular element that really did surprise me was the Natasha Gilmore piece, The Conversation with Carmel. I think it was a 3 or 4 day, full day period, and initially I was quite concerned and worried that their energy and stamina levels would strain during such a full day intensive period.
And at first I thought, oh, this is a bit weird, but it wasn't. It was great fun and very challenging and actually very difficult to do.
And they really appreciated being pushed and challenged to participate for a full day. So that was a real surprise for me.
People can get isolated and depressed, so something like this is working on the physical and the emotional and the mental.
Everybody's learning each other's names and things, which maybe sounds silly, but normal dance classes don't tend to do that. It's a different atmosphere in his class. It's been a different atmosphere right from the beginning.
The level at which we meet, it's very understanding.
I was widowed 2.5 years ago, and I'm really just beginning to kind of build a life again, and this is perfect because it's fun, which is actually quite hard to come by when you're my age.
It's changed my life. It's taken away grief, definitely taken away sadness, because I had a bereavement of my husband a year ago. So this has been an absolute tonic.
When you're here, you don't think about anything else. You're just concentrating on the dance steps and listening to the music.
It's put a spark back in my life. That's honest. I didn't expect to find this enjoyment.
Dance House, Glasgow's dance agency in partnership with Glasgow Life, set up Still Dancing, a performance group led by choreographer Norman Douglas.
I'm a stickler for how to walk properly, and we've actually spent a lot of time just walking. Because I said to him it was very important for me to see people walking on stage. Although I wanted to push them, I also had to be careful. If you're not used to doing something every day, you don't realise when you're standing parallel, your right leg has gone out. So then if you bend your knee, your cartilage pops out. So I spend most of my time saying parallel, knees, cartilages, things like this, because it's not easy. I have not made it easy for them.
Norman's quite ambitious, pushes a lot. I find that at times when he shows us what he wants us to do, I think, oh, I'm not going to be able to do that anymore. But the more he insists on you doing it, you do begin to pick it up. And sometimes I find it very challenging, but that's what I enjoy about it. It's quite heartwarming to see how much many of them have improved and realised, oh yes, we can do this, we can achieve this.
Although I've done quite a bit of dancing, I haven't done any contemporary dancing, and it was sort of totally different to routines where you're using specific steps. It's been really quite challenging, and Norman has pushed us quite far.
The teachers have been very good in showing us, like how to take the weight on the body, how to get to that position without toppling over or losing your balance.
Exercise gives you the feel-good factor. It actually becomes addictive. I was never a very dramatic person, right? Not the drama queen sort of person, but I've learned to have a little bit of drama.
Become much more confident with not just coming to the class and dancing, but confident with speaking to people and getting to know other people.
I think when we've done the block of the week, I'm really surprised at how I coped with it. And sometimes you come to a class, maybe about a Thursday, you're tired and you don't really feel like it, and then you go out afterwards and you're feeling much better. I was at my doctor for something trivial last week and she said, you're really looking well.
And it's something, for me, memorable and inspiring others. Looking forward to the Pearce Institute, the performance.
If you are going to perform in this, it's a different sort of agenda you're facing.
At the beginning we were just coming every week, And now we're working up to this performance, so we're rehearsing a lot more every day. And at first I thought, oh, I'll never go every afternoon, but it becomes quite addictive. I never thought that I would be dancing ever again at my age. And yes, I feel quite pleased with myself that I am.
A lot of people take it very seriously, but it's fun too because you learn more about people that way.
The benefits are just tremendous, right? The fun, the laughter, the dedication that Norman has and the vision that he has in teaching us the different moves.
The idea of the whole story about the clearance of the islands, I've enjoyed that really so much.
He does work as hard, but it's to get the best out of us.